Be cut. This is called putting piso. Be cut. In other words, brain is creating a thought. Be cut. B-I-C-A-T. Brain is creating a thought. This is the way we should greet each other. Not this idea of, hi, how are you? Bill Gates, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo andiamo, mio caro amigo? None of that in languages. No, let's express it with the real thing. We are creating a thought. When you see somebody, instead of saying hi, we say be cut. Brain is creating thoughts. The image of that person, and then you know if it's your friend, if you recognize, if it's a relative, or all that. But if you take a little drug, or there's somebody hit you over the head, you suffer trauma, you wouldn't recognize the person. You know who the person is. And you are not you. Cognition is disappearing. Happens in Alzheimer's. And happening also, in the influence of religious psychosis, the inability of the brain to tell between fact and fiction. Now, we know that when we are born. We are born lacking belief. In other words, atheist. And so we grew up and we start developing, our brain start making sense of everything using the five senses between fact and fiction, constantly fact and fiction. We have to navigate this world of fantasy because fantasy gives us dopamine. It feels good. It feels good to fantasy, fairy tales feel good. And children love fairy tale. Then you get educated and all this. This happens all over the world because we're human beings. We're human beings. We are evolved mutated primates that create mind, thoughts, and abstraction with our brains. Not the ass, not the heart, not the liver. In ancient times, they didn't know that. But this is the thing. When you start getting educated, and you're learning, and you start all of a sudden leaning to the belief in a supreme being, in a creator, whatever it is, no evidence. It could be an alien from outer space. That doesn't mean that aliens are not possible. Of course not. That's not what I mean, in a sense, yes. In a vast universe, outside universe, of course, an alien, intelligent life could exist. Yes. It's no problem. I mean, the Drake equation actually clearly proves that. But let's keep the idea now that extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence. That's the only thing I'm asking. Evidence. A lot of people don't understand that. They say, well, aliens, God, No. The idea of an intelligent being, creator, the concept of intelligent creator, we create that in our brain, the concept of a creator. But what is a creator? So the concept that we have, anthropomorphized, an intelligent being, an intelligent designer, is absurd. It's absurd. We are evolved mutated primates that create thus to satisfy ourselves, to make sense of the world. That also creates dopamine in our brains, oxytocin and serotonin, the neurotransmitters. Makes us feel good. It's like if you take a few Cuba Libres, a few beers, give you some love for different medicines affect your brain. They make you feel good and peaceful. Oxytocin, like that, some of this GOP moron, that fatso guy, that really idiotic person, cries psychotic, Rush Limbaugh, says the guy's an imbecile. So, hey, he's addicted to oxytocin. It makes you feel good. So that's what it is. But let's go down to the reality of it all. God does not exist. It's manufactured by our brains. We can create any God we want. If you believe in the bizarre mythological beliefs of imaginary friends of God, you're either a child you're extremely ignorant, or you have a propensity to this psychosis innate in the brain, a propensity to that. And then you, of course, you have the feeling that there is a God and stuff. Prove it to me. I want the evidence that this exists. And you cannot produce it. Where? So that's what it is. But let's talk about religious psychosis, how influence the entheogens, which is psychotropic substance, influence the brain. And nobody seems to see that. Chemicals, drugs, influence the brain.
And this is datura. Can't believe it, right? We're moving and I saw these plants. I mean, you eat some of these. This is the stuff that is in Rome, in Italy. They have in all the monuments because these hallucinogenic flowers. You can see God if you start eating that stuff. So they were right on the monuments in ancient Rome. All of them had little flowers in it. These flowers and other different species, roots, and also mushroom, magic mushrooms and all that were called sacraments. That's what they use in religious ceremonies, all of them throughout the world, to actually be able to talk and hear and see God. Here I took this picture in the Roman Forum. Look at this. What is this flower doing here? And you see them all over the arches. Inside the arch you see all the hallucinogenic flowers. They were all using sacraments to, to affect the brain and see God. That's the reason the Bible was written this way. Sacred datura. They call it sacred. And you can see here. Sacred datura.
Hey, like they say, facts talk, bullshit walks. Take one of those flowers. You'll be seeing God. It would be nice if in any religious ceremony, in any religious lecture, ask the pastor to, before he starts speaking and seeing the Bible, to take a little sacrament, like they used to do in ancient times with datura flowers and mixed with honey and little, and ask him to, before he starts reading the Bible, like in Oral Roberts, or one of those psychotic infected imbecile pastors and ministers, ask him to actually take some of that before reading the Bible and give the lecture. You will see his mind going berserk, expressing all this stuff like that. Oh boy, that'll be fascinating. But facts are facts. There they are. Remember, I can prove everything I say. I have the evidence to back it up. Everything I say is not bullshit. It's actual facts. Like I said, facts talk, bullshit walks. And the fact is that we create the bizarre mythological beliefs of God with the brain. This is proven here that if you take datura or any plants that are psychoactive, you will end up seeing God. That's the way religion was created, and believing God over 40,000 years ago. The epigraphy is there for all to see. These are datura flowers. There are many, many varieties of this stuff. That's the way Mormonism was created. In the 1820s, in Mexico, and the Mayans and Aztecs, they all have the plants. It's in the epigraphy. If you smoke Bufo alvarius, this frog, the traditions of this frog, you will be seeing God also. Here, the Assyrian, look at the flowers on his dress, in his outfit. And no, this is not a watch, as conspiracy theorists will think. It's a flower. Here is a Jewish coin from the 2 centuries with a flower, with a datura. Here is datura. Going to Grand Canyon, I picked them up. They were all on the road. Nobody knows what this is. This is a flower that if you prepare it and you ingest it, you will be able. These are a sacrament. You'll be able to see God. That's the way the Native Americans created their mythology. All mythologies are created by the ingestion of these plants. This includes the Book of the Dead. This includes the Syrian mythology. This includes the Bible. The many Bibles, the many Qurans, This affects the brain. We know that. You can see the mind of psychotics by studying the Renaissance paintings, 1400s, 1500s. Here's a Christmas card a friend sent. The angel was always carrying datura flowers to announce Virgin Mary that she was pregnant with zombie Jesus. Of course, if you see that, look at here. They're all in the architecture. You see the datura flowers. They're everywhere. And it was mandatory to have the Annunciation with the Holy Spirit and all the flowers. If you ingest those datura flowers, you will see God. You'll see spirits, you'll see demons, you feel that you're pregnant by a zombie God. So it's everywhere, and it's very, very obvious if you know how to look. Even this saint has a stuff with it. Even the tomb of Herod has datura flowers there in the tomb. Here I am in the Grand Canyon, the sacred eagle of the Navajo. If you ingest datura or in peyote and all that, you will see this eagle coming out of the rocks and becoming alive.
So keep this away from children. This is a perverted, full of poison and fantasies book written by people over 1,500 years ago describing a drug trip by eating those mushrooms hallucinating material. It's a drug trip. Only retarded people and very ignorant of history will believe that this is actually truth. No, this belongs in. We create God with our brains. So this is garbage. This is like Winnie the Pooh or any other book, but it's actually very perverted because the stories are depending on blood sacrifice and torture and all that crap over sub beaches and all this bullshit. Keep away from children. But anyway, those flowers are. A lot of people don't realize what it is. That's what the religion came about. Well, 4,000, 5,000 years ago, because they didn't know. You eat those things and you see God. That's your angels, your demons. And
also all kind of, space aliens and all that. Because, hey, you take hallucinogenic materials, even 5 Cuba Libres will make you see weird things. And mumble and slur your words. But all religious texts, this. And all books like that of mythologies, Quran, Talmud, and all, they are the product of inspired by drug, not gods. And this is actually a reality. All religious beliefs were created and by ingestion of psychotropic substances. And also, religion is also can be created. If you don't ingest drugs or anything affecting your brain, if you have a genetic malfunction of your brain, you can also, like suffering from a schizotypal disorder, you can actually create this imaginary friend gods. So people that do not ingest drugs or nothing but believe in God and things, there are weird and irrational beliefs in this 21st century, they have a brain malfunction. Psychosis. This can be proven. I mean, I'm not saying this, alone. I mean, there's scientists and neuroscientists that actually prove it in the lab. I can operate your brain and I can make you distorting all your senses. So you'll see things that are not there. Like when you take LSD and all that, different substances. You can actually do that in the frontal lobes. Altering the amygdala, creating, putting false memories in your brain, and you actually, when you get away from the operation, you are awakened from the operation. You actually have all these different memories and different things that are not there, and you believe that you experience this thing, but you haven't. It's because neuroscientists actually implanted those in your brain. Drugs do that automatically. So that is actually a fact. One of these mind-altering substances, sacraments, that in ancient times people ingested so they could see God, be in communication with the spirits. Remember, in ancient time, people had no idea about science and biology and all that. To them, they had no idea they had a brain. To them, the heart was the creator of the feelings and all that. Orgasm was also sacred, all that. So they had no idea about science. Today, in this 21st century, we do. So it is disingenuous, and it's very bad for mentally healthy, the atheist, not to address this point that everybody can see. The brain creates God. God does not exist. The imaginary friends of in all religions are also accepted as reality in all religions, like they all do, are also produced in brains that malfunction, like in a schizophrenic, a schizotype, or temporal epileptic, people suffering cognitive dissonance. Exactly the same fairy tales are produced in those brains. So you cannot say, the spirituality or the religious are okay. No, the religious people accepting this imaginary friends as reality are actually reasoning not much different than this schizotypal, as Dr. Sapolsky clearly indicated in his lecture, and Ramachandran and Dr. Cosimo Urgesi. If the brain suffers trauma, it will create the feeling of imaginary friends, which is also spirituality. Because the spirituality, the word, let's dissect the word. What is a spiritus? A spiritus is a Latin word that means pneuma, gas, vapor. That's what a spiritus is. So if you in ancient times, they had no idea what the air was. So and the atmosphere. So this force that nobody sees, invisible force to them, there was this spiritus. The genius, the pneuma, the guardian angel, the force. Today, we know it is the air. The soul is the air in our lungs. I sell you my soul. I will blow a balloon, give it to you, and charge you $2,000 for it. You want my soul? Let me sell it to you. So it is very ignorant and psychotic and stupid and irrational for anybody to believe in demons and spirits and spiritualism. If you say, oh, you're a theologist, you're an idiot. You're a very stupid person. Theology is the study of imaginary friends, things that do not exist. So if you're a theologist, you have to be a very stupid person, probably suffering from a zombie god syndrome, which is not different than schizophrenia. Another thing, when you ingest those plants, substances that affect your brain, that expand the brain, one of them is LSD. And what is LSD? Well, it's nothing but ergot. It's a fungus of yeast, Clavices purpurea. Then in ancient times, it affects the grasses, and when you eat this, it's rice bacon, by the way. So you eat bread contaminated with that, you suffer this worm thing, and you see things, some vision. You see whatever the religion is. So if you believe in the sacred stone, you will see the stone. If you believe in the sacred tree, you will see the tree come alive. If you believe in zombie Jesus, you will see zombie Jesus come around. You believe in demons, you'll see demons coming around. So you see whatever you're brought up with, but it's infecting your brain, those delirious fairy tales. So in ancient times, infecting Clavices purpurea infected ergot. Infected the rye and breads. And the Middle Ages, actually the year 1000, everybody was going nuts, and they call it St. Anthony's fire, because Anthony was nobody knows that he proved that he existed. This mythological, St. Anthony, he was tempted by the demons, and he went to the desert and he was tempted, and he has all these demons coming around, and he became victorious from this temptation of St. Anthony, which is in Renaissance paintings, by the way. So he saw these demons, so he was having hallucination. It was a trip. But why? So everybody that behaves like that and see demons, because of the ergot, they call this St. Anthony's fire. This belief went on for years. Stupid people, these psychotic imbeciles that, intellectual stagnation. That's Anthony. Well, in the 1940s, in Switzerland, Dr. Hoffman, he was experimenting with this ergot, with this Clavices purpurea, this fungus. And he isolated it, came up with LSD. So he put a little drop in his skin, and it was the first, and he was riding his bicycle home. Oh man, that was the first trip in history. LSD trip in history, and then of course in the 60s, And it benefits you in many ways because it expands your understanding. Expand the brain. The brain is the universes within, is the incredible universes we create thoughts with. So we have our own private, six-dimensional universe in our heads. This is the brain, producing thought. We have our own private, so let's keep it healthy, keep it atheist. So anyway, a lot of stuff expanded in the 60s. You see all these people with amazing paintings, and you see the Beatles producing tremendous music, and of course, in the 70s, you see who? Steve Jobs, a Wozniak, invented the Apple computer, this expansion. And he saw all these things in his brain, let me get ideas, because he get away from the religious psychosis that he's infected with, that people are infected with. The moment you take LSD and all that, your mind expands and you kind of see different things. If you're infected with this propensity to religious psychosis and Christ psychosis or something like that, then you'll see demons and all that, and you'll have a really bad trip, because then you're stuck with these things, and you speak in tongues and all this stuff is all in the brain. So that's what actually happens. So keep the brain healthy. God does not exist. If you believe in God, you're a theotard. It's a psychosis, just like schizophrenia. And Happy New Year. Pace di oro.